Hello and welcome to another Atypical Philosopher video with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pearce. There's been such big news about Kherson tonight, so I'm just going to do a very quick update about what has happened or what is happening at the moment in Kherson. This is UK time evening of the 9th of November 2022. So you probably all heard the news. The news is that the Russians have announced that they are withdrawing all their troops from the Kherson region to on the right bank of the Dnipro River, that is the west of the Dnipro River. So just to let you know, obviously Kherson is down here. And the withdrawal of these troops might have huge ramifications. HIMARS will be able to be positioned closer to the Dnipro River and therefore access far further toward Crimea. So big news. Well, let's have a look at exactly what the news was. So here's the BBC saying Kherson, Russia to withdraw troops from the key Ukrainian city. Russia's military has been ordered to pull out of the Ukrainian city of Kherson, the only regional capital it captured after invading in February. Russia's commander in Ukraine, Sergei Surovikin, so the butcher of Syria, who was put in charge fairly recently, said it was no longer possible to keep supplying the city. So this is really interesting. This looks like Ukraine have done a really good job in blowing up those supply routes across the river that have been bleeding the Russian army dry there in terms of ammunition and other supplies. And obviously, it's got to the point where Surovikin, I say obviously, it seems like it's got to this point where he said, right, enough's enough. We can't really effectively work as an army across the river. The withdrawal means that Russian forces will pull out entirely from the western bank of the Dnipro River. It's a significant blow as Russia faces a Ukrainian counteroffensive. So this is just as the counteroffensive started today. So whether they are cutting their losses, they realise that it's not going to go well for them, or whatever, it will be interesting to see how it develops. The military's top brass announced the decision on Russian state TV with General Surovikin reporting on the situation on the ground in Kherson. President Putin did not take part in this staged event. The architect of Russia's failing war in Ukraine appeared to have left the announcement to his generals. It was Putin who announced Russia's annexation of Kherson and three other occupied regions at the end of September. In these circumstances, the most sensible option is to organize a defense along a barrier line along the river Dnipro, General Surovikin told the meeting. And that's actually, I would agree with that. This is the most sensible thing for them to do, but it just shows that they are on the end of a not very good offensive for them. I mean, their offensive is now very much a defensive. This decision to pull back across the Dnieper River was treated with caution by Ukrainian officials. It is in his nightly address on Wednesday. Zelensky said Kiev was moving, quote, very carefully after the announcement. Quote, the enemy does not give us gifts, does not make goodwill gestures. We win it all. This is absolutely right as well. Therefore, we are moving very carefully without emotions, without unnecessary risk, in the interest of liberating all our land and so that the losses are as small as possible. Uh, that's absolutely spot on. So let's have a little look at the area here. So let's look at the war map. So this is Kherson here, at least the area to the west of the Dnipro River, which goes up here, Kherson city. So it's interesting to see what remains, if anything, in the city itself. There are lots of videos captured of Russians removing themselves from the area. There are some videos of some captured Russian soldiers. There are also lots of videos of destroyed or abandoned vehicles as well. This will probably be a big haul for the Ukrainians. However, they do have to move slowly because there will be a lot of mines and booby traps and stuff that will not be nice to drive over around here. Or by. So they do need to be careful. Okay, what can we say? Well, there are these three-pronged attacks. Originally, there were down by Duchany here on the way to Milove, here around Snirivka, and then here along this main road coming into Kherson. So these were the three areas that were attacked this morning, as I told you about in my update video. It now looks like in the west of Kherson, the Ukrainians have liberated Pravdini, visually confirmed, and they are on offensive actions around Alexandrivka and Stanislav. Need more confirmation before making claims. So let's just zoom in and have a little look. So this is around this western area here on the way into Kherson along this main road. Pravdini is this area, this place here. So that is what they are saying has been definitely liberated. But then other places around there, Alexandrivka down here, and Stanislav down towards the coast. There are troop movements towards that. Don't know whether they are liberated at the moment, but it's all just a matter of time. One would expect. So that's in that area at the moment. Then if we look at other areas, we've got around Snihorivka, Kalinitsky are visually confirmed under Ukrainian control. So that's Snihorivka itself, and they are reportedly liberating Borozensky. Waiting confirmation for that. And Russia reportedly left Karivka, Milove, Novokari, Borozensky, Sukhanove, Chervony Yar, Kuchersky, and Sadok. So let's find those on the map. Let's first go to Surinivka. So it looks like that is liberated, Surinivka there. And I don't know about anywhere else around there. So let's go back. Kalinivsky. I'm sure that was this morning. So that will be around there, no doubt. As we come out. Oh yeah, Kalinivsky here. So just to the east of Snirivka. So Snirivka, and this is the Inihilets River here. Going along here, and then the other places mentioned here were Sadok, Borozensky, Sukhanove, and down towards Milove and Novokari as well, and Chavonyia. So these areas I mean, it's just a matter of time. These will all be liberated if Russia are indeed removing themselves from the West Bank. So we can just expect these all to be liberated in time. A lot of these will be abandoned villages. There won't be a lot of people living out in these areas, particularly anymore. The question is, will this in any way become a rout, or have the Russians left already? Have they done a good job of doing an operational withdrawal, which they seem to have been doing over the last week? And the Ukrainians have possibly been unable to chase them for fear of, being hit by artillery, air attacks, and also a lot of mining and earthen defences make that quite difficult. But ideally, they would like it to become a rout so they could chase and capture troops and equipment with ease, harrying them as they retreat. I don't know how possible that really is. It could be that this might be a successful withdrawal, in terms of how well withdrawals can go. Uh, so this is some more data. Conflicting data is still coming from the right bank of Kherson. While eyes on the ground confirm the retreat of Russian forces from multiple towns, there are also reports of Russian presence in other areas. I don't think it's safe to say that they are gone completely, not yet. And other news as well, which in fact, no, I'll come to that later. So if we look at Ukraine weapons tracker, this is excellent Twitter handle. A couple of guys that compile munition and equipment that is captured, damaged, or destroyed. Here we have lots now coming in over the last couple of hours in Kherson. So a Russian BTR, APC, and armored personnel carrier captured in Kherson. What else do we have? In the south, so Excalibur working on a Russian cargo truck and two T-62 tanks and an infantry fighting vehicle. We also have Kherson, the remains of a Russian 122 self-propelled gun, a Grodzika. Uh, Again, APC abandoned on the side of the road by the looks of it, stuck on a destroyed road. And actually, this is quite interesting because you see what the Russians have done. So the Russians have, again, what they have done that might suggest this is quite a good withdrawal is they've destroyed all the bridges they could do, pedestrian and vehicular, which means that the Ukrainians will struggle to follow them and turn this into a rout because the Russians have destroyed the bridges. Duchany in Kherson, the Stugna, taking out a tank and BMP. So that's a sort of infantry fighting vehicle. and so on and so forth. So there's just lots of evidence of things being hit and captured in the Kherson area. That will continue to come in. More and more of that. Quite how much will be very interesting. Special Kherson Cat has retweeted a very good NL War tracker, who's also worth following. Has done a lot of analysis on how the Russians will get across the river Dnipro. Uh, but I won't go through that now. It's just worth having a little look if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But also, again, lots of other footage on there. We're starting to see the Antonovsky Bridge, barge bridge that was destroyed the other day, hit by HIMARS. We're going to see a lot of footage of the Kherson area that will tell us a lot of the story over the last few weeks. We've now got these are before it got dark, T-80s moving. Um, eh, in a formation in the Kherson direction, so on and so forth. Lots of stuff and flags liberated, barge ferries, all sorts of stuff going on. So it's all happening in Kherson. The only other thing to say, really, before I shoot off, is that another big piece of news. Kiril Stramasov, the deputy head of Kherson military civil administration. So he is a guy that I said posted something yesterday, and I talked about this. Well, Kiril Stramasov has now died. He was involved in he's the head of Kherson, but there's been no celebration in Ukraine over Stramasov's supposed demise. He reportedly died in a car accident in Henichesk, which is about 200 kilometers from Kherson. So he was doing a runner. At the time there were no photos. This happened at night, but I think there are now morning photos starting to be shared on social media. Important to remember, Russia has deposed of many previous leaders of rebel states when it suited them. So it's quite possible that he was now excess baggage, or to explain his absence as leader as he flees to Russia, they staged his death, or he really is dead. So it could be A, an accident, B, he's been knocked off by Russia, or C, he's run away to Russia and they've pretended that he's died. But what has happened is apparently his car was hit by a truck, I think, on the road. What's interesting is that this has been pointed out in his car, and he's taken lots of like video footage of him speaking in his car before. He's actually taken out his seatbelt. He literally doesn't have the seatbelt mechanism in his car. Quite why you would do that, I just don't know. But he's been involved in a car crash, and perhaps, safety first and all that. That hasn't ended well for him. Um, he will not be missed by the Ukrainians, that's for sure. But it's just another piece of news to add to the very eventful day in the Kherson area. It'll be interesting to see how it develops over the next day, 2 days, 3 days, a week. But this is not a good look for Russia, and they're going to have to manage expectations now and manage their own public opinion about this, because this won't go down well, I don't think, with the military bloggers and with the nationalists in Russia, and won't go down with any of the public, because those who are against the war will be even more buoyed by the fact that it's not going well, and it's kind of senseless for Russians to send their men into this war to die. So anyway, there you go. Let me know what you think. Please like, share, subscribe, all that, and I will get back to my usual videos tomorrow.